Hi, good night. Happy All Year's Day. Welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. Wherever you're watching from, text me, let me know. I hope you're having a great day, a great night, a great morning, whatever it is. Some people are already celebrating the new year. So wherever you're watching from, hope you're having a great day. I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Wish you prosperity and success in the new year. And I wish you Godspeed. Worship the Lord tonight. Wash away all the sins. Take away all the old acquaintances, bring in new ones, including take away the old PPP government, bring in a new government, whatever it is. Share the link. Keep sharing the link. Everybody get on all your social media platforms. Share the link. We have 3 powerful members of Parliament from Guyana here tonight. And we'll talk about what's a house slave? When is it appropriately used? And is it okay to assault people and then celebrate the assaulter? We'll discuss it. Share the link, and I'll be right back in about 60 seconds. Share the link. All right. Again, welcome to Conversation with Rickford Burke. So today I want to talk about what happened. It's an extension of our conversation last night. I really want to talk about what happened in the Parliament of Guyana, because the PP government, members of PP they're either crazy, delusional, or just barefaced, right? As you guys know, the PPP attempted to pass the Natural Resource Fund Bill of 2021. And just for a little bit of parliamentary education, when a piece of legislation is first introduced in the parliament or any legislative body, it's a bill, right? It's a bill. You submit it to the clerk of the assembly or the house or whatever it is. And of course, it goes through the registration process as a piece of legislation. And then it is placed on an order paper for debate. It has to be read once, twice, a third time, and then there's a debate, and then it's passed. When it's passed, it becomes an act. Once it's assented to by the president, it becomes an act, and that's when it's law. So the PP introduced this bill, and the purpose of that bill, the Natural Resource Fund Bill 20 of 2021, was to repeal the Granger administration law that regulates the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Guyana, which is all of the oil money, which is deposited into the proceeds from the sale of oil, which is deposited into the New York Federal Reserve Bank. I like the fact that that money is in New York, because if the PPP think that they can get away with what they got away with in their last government, which is billions of dollars in theft of the people's money, they can be prosecuted in New York. Very smart of the Granger administration. So even if they thief a leaf, the New York Attorney General could prosecute them, the District Attorney in Manhattan could prosecute them, and the Justice Department and the FBI could prosecute them. I hope they really know that. So this bill that the people introduced gutted deliberately, gutted all of the accountability measures that the Granger administration placed in the bill. They don't want people to know how much money they would be taking out of the account, and they don't want to say to the people of Guyana what they will be using that money for, right? They just want the money to be controlled by the president, by Jagdeo, and Ashley Singh, the Minister of Finance. Well, the double Minister of Finance, because we know Bar Jagdeo is the Minister of Finance. Bar Jagdeo is the President, Bar Jagdeo is the Minister of Foreign. Bar Jagdeo is everything. He's all over, right? He's like a shrimp. He's everywhere. So that's what this bill in Parliament was supposed to do, take away all of the accountability measures that regulate Guyana's oil wealth. Now, everybody in Guyana, throughout the society, was against this bill. PP say, go to hell. We were elected, it's our money, the money is for us. So of course, this generated a lot of controversy in the Parliament because they wanted to railroad everybody. So we have a group of smart MPs that decided to take a stand in the Parliament. So we had a protest outside and we had a protest inside the Parliament. Keep sharing the link. Share this link. Everybody share this link. It's important. I know it's all years that you guys have parties to go to, food to prepare, church service, but this is important. We're not going to stay too long on this program tonight because we have to expose what the PP is doing to the diaspora and to the people in Guyana. And so there was a protest in the Parliament where the MPs decided, the opposition MPs decided, we're going to obstruct this thing because the PPP should at least have a wide cross-section of the society being consulted, commenting on this bill. And then they should take the comments and the views and the opinions, recommendations, suggestions of the people of Guyana into account and reformulate this bill. They don't want to do that. So the MPs decided to obstruct the process. And one of the acceptable means of protests in Parliament, you see it everywhere, not physical fights, that's in Africa and Asia, is to remove the mace. Remove the mace. The mace is a symbol of the authority of the people. The mace in the British Parliament is a symbol of the authority of the monarchy, which is the Queen. We ain't got no Queen in Guyana, right? So the mace represents the authority of the people through the Speaker. So nothing could happen in the Parliament without the mace present, because the mace signifies that Parliament is in session. Nothing could happen in Parliament without the mace. That's why you see whenever the Speaker is about to enter, the Sergeant of Arms, which is the only person allowed to touch that mace, carries the mace and places it on its on the desk, in its holder at the clerk's desk. That's the designated place for the mace. Not on the Speaker's desk, not at the Prime Minister's desk, not on no minister desk, on the desk where the clerk sits. There's a holder there for it. So if the mace is removed, the Parliament is no longer in session. So what you think happened in Guyana? One of the members of Parliament removed, the opposition members of Parliament removed the mace. That's her privilege. She's a member of Parliament. She can do whatever she wants in the chamber. The PPP does that when they're in opposition. Dr. Jagan grabbed the mace and pulled the mace off the days before. And so the PPP went into pandemonium after the mace was removed because they know the significance of the mace. If the mace is not there, the Parliament is no longer in session. So the mace was taken off the desk and went somewhere, but the Speaker wanted to continue the session because they were so desperate to pass the bill. And so what do you think he did? He pulled out a toy mace, an imitation mace, and he continued the session and passed the bill. Now, we know that that bill was unlawfully passed. The bill is not lawful. I saw that the president put out a statement today saying he signed the bill. So it's not an act. Well, the courts will have to determine the validity of that act. But the issue here now is what happened? What happened? Now, What happened is that Member of Parliament, Annette Ferguson, who is a member of the PNC, she grabbed the mace. She's our hero, right? She's being celebrated all across Guyana as a hero. She grabbed the mace. And as she was attempting to remove the mace, the Speaker's assistant, office assistant, and so that you guys understand what is an office assistant, he's the guy that shined the Speaker's shoe, grabbed the coffee, hold the man bag like a slave, open the car door, wash the car, probably use the toilet paper on the Speaker too. But that's his job, right? He pushed the MP down, knocked her over, threw her to the ground. Right? Violence against women. He violently attacked a member of Parliament. First of all, the Speaker's shoe shine boy should never be in the Parliament chambers. The Speaker's toilet flusher should never be in the chambers. The chambers are members of Parliament. And the mace is only supposed to be defended and touched by the Sergeant of Arms, nobody else. It is an offense against the Parliament for anybody else, any regular staff, to go and interfere with the mace. The mace is a symbol of the people. Members of Parliament are elected by the people. So it is their responsibility to represent the views of the people. So this man, the Speaker's shoe shine boy, the toilet flusher, the sandwich boy, the water boy, he decided, and he's Afro-Guyanese, he decided to be a little extra, right? And he rushed to defend the Speaker, sorry, the mace, right? Call of Duty man, he think he is the GDF. He rushed to defend the mace. And in doing so, he pushed the Member of Parliament, who is elected to be there, pushed her down. Now today, the PPP is celebrating this man who committed violence against a woman as a hero. Domestic violence activists, activists against violence in Guyana, why are you guys quiet? Every time a female, especially a black female from the opposition, is assaulted in Parliament, they're celebrated. Kwame McCoy assaulted Tapita Haley, Sarabo Haley in Parliament. And he was celebrated. The female MPs, PP MPs, defended him, celebrated him. Now I have made it very clear that if Tapita was my family, they would not be celebrating. And if Annette was my family, that boy would not be going to work Monday. Right? So now you have a black minister in the PPP government defending the fact that PPNC member of Parliament, sorry, APNU+AFC member of Parliament, MAUREEN Philadelphia, from Victoria, yeah, Victoria in the House, attacking MAUREEN Philadelphia for coming to the defense of Annette Ferguson and telling this young man his behavior is like a house slave. You know, back in the days of slavery, you had the slaves that worked in the cotton fields and the sugar plantation. And then you had the house Negroes. If you guys saw Django, Django was a house slave. He's like, where you going with that car, nigga? That's the boss's car. He black, they call him a nigga. That's what Ian McPherson was doing. He's a Django. He is trying to defend the mace. He has no local standard to do that. No business being in Parliament. No business trying to defend the mace. Police in defending mace. The sergeants of arms didn't touch the MP because they know their place. Disputes within the Parliament have to be resolved within the Parliament. But he's Django, he's a hero. So he assaulted a member of Parliament and then he ran and held on to the mace. And today he's being celebrated as a hero in the PPP because he assaulted a black woman. In addition to that, Onish Waldron is complaining, she's on quarantine, you know, well, her family. She's complaining that Maureen Philadelphia called the man a house slave. This is the same Onish Waldron that has been quiet when the PPP fired almost 3,000 Black people. Quiet that the police is using, that the PPP is using the police against Black people to prosecute GCOM staff, APNU+AFC former ministers, former CEOs, attorneys, Rickford Burke. Well, I ain't scared of the guy in the police force. She's quiet. As the protest was going on yesterday, one of the PPP MPs hurled the word nigger at the protesters. She hasn't said anything about that. She has not commented on the fact that another Black woman was assaulted by this jackass. But she's complaining that every Black person that joined the PPP is assaulted and they're cursed out. And then she used herself as an example, complaining that when she joined the PPP, they cursed her out and called her a house Negro. But she is a house Negro because she's silent. She's perpetuating the racist policies of the PPP against Black people in the country. And I want to make it very clear. They're perfectly good, patriotic, decent, honest East Indians in Guyana, for whom I have the utmost respect, who don't support racism, who don't support corruption. I'm not talking about those people. When we talk about PPP supporters, we talk about the cult members who are racist. And like I said, we say it here, every person that voted for Donald Trump is not a racist, but every racist in America voted for Donald Trump. It's the same thing, the PPP. Excuse me, Guyana. Every person that voted for the PPP is not a racist, but you rest assured, every racist in Guyana voted for the PPP. That's a fact. The PPP is the party that accommodates racists, and we must condemn them for it. And also they're cultivating the Blacks, the 4 Black people that got to the party. They're cultivating them. They're sending them out to defend their racist policies. So they sent out Onish Waldron yesterday to talk about the fact that Maureen Philadelphia appropriately called the man a racist, sorry, a house slave. So without further ado, let me do this. I'll show you guys exactly what happened. I'm going to show you what Onish Waldron said. I'll show you Maureen Philadelphia defending Annette Ferguson. And then I'll show you the act of assault video where this little dog, yes, he's a dog. Any man that puts his hand on a woman is an animal, so he's a dog. And they're celebrating him. So let's start first with Onish Waldron. Here we go. And when we come back, I'll introduce my panel, the 3 members of Parliament, Natasha Singh Lewis, Maureen Philadelphia, and Annette Ferguson. Here is Onish Waldron, PPP Minister of Tourism.
You have to automatically support the APNU+AFC as an Afro-Guyanese. That is what you should do. And when you don't, you are assaulted, insulted, berated, and called all kinds of house slave. Now you talk about slavery. The whole idea behind slavery and freedom is the right of self-determination of the slave. That right is a right to decide for yourself as an Afro-Guyanese what makes you happy, the right to choose where you want to live, how you want to live. That is what freedom is all about. And that right to self-determination, according to the APNU+AFC, can only be exercised when it's showing support for them. And the reason we know this is that the day that I became appointed as a minister, I was berated about being a house slave and a sellout. They didn't wait to see how I performed, which is open season for me. There was no criticism. There was no waiting to say, well, let's see how she performs. Let's see how she manages the ministry, how she conducts it. And we can have a discourse about her policies or what she presents to the public, what she presents to the National Assembly. Wait to hear what I have to deliver. From day one, I was berated about being a house slave and being unworthy because I have exercised my right of self-determination and decided that I want to support who I want to support and what I want to put my support behind. And my right to support who I want to support, I should not have to apologize for. No one earns a right to govern me unless I give them that right. And that is what I believe. I think it is becoming. We have seen that display with that young man, but it is displayed in every single one of our communities. In the circles, you hear them. It is being shouted from the corners of North America, from certain dark forces who keep saying that Afro-Guyanese who want to support, who want to decide who they want to support and what they want to support, if it's not the APNU, APNU+AFC, who seem to think that they have a monopoly over us. And it is very derogatory. And one of the other things too is that if they're saying that it's not political, then why say that you are a house slave? If you don't support, you're not a house slave when you show support, when you show support for their party, but you become a house slave and you become less than when you show support for them. So I find that the fact that they gave themselves that permission to abuse that young man is just symptomatic of the depravity that is occurring in this party, especially against Afro-Guyanese support. And we are finding more and more Afro-Guyanese supporting this party because of our policies. It's as simple as this. This bill, these two bills, are going to be a game changer. It is showing an approach of the government where we care for our people, all of Guyana. And we keep making that point that we are a government for all of Guyanese. And that is what our message continuously, and they are afraid of that. And suddenly, so what you find is that they are threatened, as my colleague, Minister Teixeira said, they are threatened politically. So they are no longer, they are not concerned about issues. They had opportunities to lay a local content bill for 5 years. They did nothing. Now want us to wait another 4 years and put it in select committee. But this is saying, so I just want to make the point that you can see that it is not about policy. This is them feeling, this is a political move, them feeling that they are desperate, and so they lash out. They feel desperate. It's all motivated where they are feeling vulnerable politically. And we saw that display with them, with that young man on the ground who has nothing to do with a party, but was just there doing his job, and he was insulted and bullied and denigrated, and almost, if there was no one there, he could have been terribly injured. And that is symptomatic of a people who feel that if they can't get what they want, they're going to try to bully us. And that is what we saw in Parliament.
She is a delusional woman. This is all years. And she showed up like Halloween. Like she is the Wicked Witch in Halloween. Like, how could she be so delusional? She says that more Black people are supporting PPP because of their policies. What policy? the policy that they're about to pass to steal the country's money, that she proudly, I mean, I don't know, she had a piece of paper in front of her. I could only assume she read it under duress. And then I saw somebody handing her a note or something like, I excuse her. Actually, and then she's talking, she has the gall to talk about when she was first appointed a minister. She was berated. She was berated because she lied. She placed her hand on the Bible and lied. She lied. She broke the law. She committed a crime. And she's an attorney. Listen, Oneish Wadron is a nice person. But when it comes to politics, she needs to take several seats. Woman, just sit down and shut up. Stop lying. The reason that the young man was attacked is because he did this. Let's look.
What's this?
I don't know if you guys saw it. Look at Annette Ferguson walk to the desk, picked up the miss, and then he came from behind and pushed her down. Let's look at it again.
What's this?
So that push that he gave to Annette Ferguson, yes. So wait, the PPP, Oneish Wadron, Gail Teixeira, Ashley Singh, they expect that this guy is going to push down an MP, assault a member of parliament, and nobody not do anything? Like, really? Okay. Somebody said play the video again. Okay, let me play it again. Look and see when Annette Ferguson grabs the mace. That's all right. She's a member of parliament. She can do whatever she wants in the chambers.
What's this? What's this?
Did anybody hear any PPP minister condemn that? Did anybody hear any person from the PPP express regret? Did you hear anybody from the PPP express regret? Everybody keep sharing this link. Share this link to 30 other people that you know. Because we have to, this is important for us to refute this information. You have Oneish Wadron, who's a house slave in herself. And the reason she was called a house slave is because she lied for the PPP. And Gail Teixeira and Bar Jagdeo and everybody lied with her. And then the courts ruled that she lied. That's why she was called a house slave. Nobody just attacked her like that. And now she's coming into this PPP party, a racist party that has murdered over 1,000 black people, burned down the homes of all these people and killed them out in the 1960s, bombed the Son Chapman boat. She's defending them. She's defending them. And then she's talking about people calling people house slaves from dark corners of North America. Well, I be damned. I'm in a very bright corner here in my office. So I know what she's talking about. Maybe the PPP people in Queens. Anyway, so joining me now is Annette Ferguson herself, the national hero. Member of Parliament, Annette Ferguson, member of the PNC Extraordinary. Thank you for joining us. Happy Old Years, Happy New Year's.
Oh, thank you very much, Rickford, first of all, let me say a pleasant afternoon to you and also to your viewers, and also to take this opportunity in extending happy all years. You know, we're just a few hours from welcoming in 2022. And also, I want to take this opportunity to say a blessed 2022, not only to you and your family, but also to all your viewers and listeners who are currently on this platform. I wish each and every one of us a prosperous 2020, good health, happiness, and most of all, continue to serve Christ.
Good. Thank you very much. And your defender, your public defender, Maureen Philadelphia. Victoria. Maureen, Member of Parliament, Maureen Philadelphia from the East Coast. Maureen, good afternoon. Happy New Year to you.
Good afternoon, Rickford, and thanks for having me. Let me extend Happy New Year to your viewers, our supporters, and I would want to say, even as we usher in a new year and we close off the old one, stones would have been thrown at us from various directions. And I want to ask of us to use those stones to build staircase so that our 2022 will be better than 2021. And together we are going to do that. We will not allow the dark forces to keep us from doing what we have to do for those persons who would have voted for us to represent them wherever we need to represent them. So have a blessed and successful 2022.
Thank you very much, and same to you and your family. And then we have Miss Natasha Singh Lewis, Member of Parliament for Region 6, APNU+AFC. Natasha, happy all years, happy New Year, Godspeed, much blessing and success to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Ricky. I am not going to say Rickford because you are family to me. So
Exactly.
Thank you, Ricky, for having me here, and to my comrades, good afternoon, and to our excited viewers, I want to say a pleasant good afternoon. May the peace and blessings of Almighty God be with us all. This is not all years and New Year's for me. Another few days from now will be my New Year's, according to the Islamic calendar. And so it's a regular day for me, much needed rest, but social media is booming, and I have the energy and the spirit, and ONEIDGE and Gail Teixeira and all of them who had their press briefing and so on. Whatever they said can't stop us. We have taken a decision. We did the right thing. We gave them an opportunity. We wrote many statements. We wrote the US and all the embassies and so on. We let them know what is happening, and it's action time now. So if they believe, Rickford, I was listening to ONEIDGE, and I listened to her earlier, and she said that we are panicking and we are afraid. Well, she got to see what's coming her way.
All right.
We're not afraid. We have observed due process. That's how I see it. And they had many months, more than a year, to put themselves together, and they didn't. We are serious about representing the rights of the people, and we will do that. And let me tell you something. You see the cameras that were in the house that day. They didn't zoom in on the PPP. But let me say to our viewers this afternoon that they were cold. They were huddled together. They stood there still. That same ONEIDGE was fearful, scared, stand up, pull herself together. She didn't know what it coming she way. So she got the right now to go out and talk nonsense. But she better believe there are more coming. All of them. All of them more coming.
Fireworks. Fireworks. I love it.
And we're going to represent our people.
I love it. New fire for 2022. So thanks a lot, Natasha. So Adam,
Yes,
I just love how you grab the mic. You're my hero. You're my hero. Before we get to this, Saul, what inspired you? Because the moment just before that is the people not taking heed for anything you guys were saying. You guys asked for this bill to go to a select committee. People are outside protesting. The newspapers are condemning the government. Private sector, civil society, women's groups, youth group, everybody's protesting what they're doing. And they just wanted to ram this thing through the parliament. So what inspired you to do what you did?
Well, Ricky, first of all, even before I answer your question, I will start off briefly by saying this. The bill 12 of 2019, which was passed by the then coalition government, is an excellent piece of legislation. Come 2021, the PPP brought before the House, tabled this bill, bill number 20 of 2021, on the 16th day of December. But even before that, Bill 12 of 2019, before it was enacted by the coalition government, we conducted a series of consultation. And this is what I would want to share with your listeners and viewers. An extract from former Minister of Finance, Winston Jordan's presentation in the National Assembly in January of 2019. And this is what he had to say, and I quote, "In hindsight, I believe we came out ahead. Do you know why? As of now, as I got up here to defend this bill," and he was referring to Bill 12 of 2019, "I have not heard a single negative to this final version of the bill, even though it has been in the public domain for more than 6 weeks." So, in essence, what he was saying is that prior to the bill being tabled in the National Assembly, we had wild consultation, and there were no negative vibes to this bill. Come the People's Progressive Party Civic, they brought a bill hurriedly to the National Assembly so that they can get their sticky fingers onto the oil funds that will not benefit Guyanese. And we heard the public outcry, whether individually, whether by collective organizations, whether by other civic organizations. People put their concerns out there and asked the government, please, do not pass this bill now. Let it be sent to a special select committee so that we, whether ADGA, whether the youth groups who got concerns, whomever have concerns, they can, including the opposition, parliamentary opposition, we can now have our say on this proposed amended bill. No, they didn't hear us. They didn't hear us. They didn't heed to the people's cry. And you know what they will preach? Oh, we're a democratic government. But still yet, when people express themselves that this is not what we want, this is what we want, you use the majority in the National Assembly to have this bill passed because you have your
one seat majority, one
seat majority. So on the very night, Thursday, the 29th of December, just before the bill was moved to be tabled, the Chief Whip, the Honorable Christopher Jones, from the opposition benches stood up and requested to the government through the Speaker for this bill to be sent to the Special Select Committee because of all that we have heard from, different ones in society. Rickford, Again, no remorse was shown. All that was told to us, the debate will proceed. So, when the Minister of Finance, who has responsibility for finance, was asked to present the bill, again, just before we moved into the debates, we stood up and we protested. We sounded our voices that we will not support any thieving bill to this National Assembly. Rickford, you think the government, try to at least have a dialogue with the opposition to find some common ground, how we can arrest this situation? No. So they continued, and we continued with our protestation actions. So what really forced me to do what I did? It is because of me being a representative of the over 218,000 people and those who did not even vote for us, who were Guyanese. I knew exactly, once this bill is passed, the ordinary man living whether in Tiger Bay, in Alboystown, in West Rumville, Charlestown, and these depressed areas, they will not gain to benefit from the oil resources funds. So, I did the honorable thing as a representative of the people. Since the government seemed not to be heeding to our request, the best thing for me to do is to grab the mace so that at least we can get the attention not only of the government, but the attention of all Guyanese, including the ABCE countries, to let them know that this bill, once passed, it will be detrimental to the Guyanese people. So that's the reason for me doing what I did in the National Assembly, Ricky.
Now, did this young man, Ian McPherson, who is the Speaker's shoeshine boy, did he not assault you?
Well, to be honest with you and to our viewers here, all I know, I fell to the ground. That is all. And the video clearly shows that, when I grabbed the mace, he came from behind, and he too, apparently with the force of him trying to get the mace out from, my hand. You understand me? I fell. So I wouldn't want to say whether I was abused or anything of that sort, but
No,
all that I know.
You don't know if it's deliberate or not, but
exactly.
You know, in his haste to get the mace from you, the force of his action pushed you down.
Exactly. That is what happened.
Okay.
That is exactly what happened.
Okay. Now, let me bring back MP Maureen Philadelphia. Now, you were seeing in the video, telling him that his actions are that of a house slave. What's your comment on what ONEIDGE Waldron said?
Ricky, when hypocrisy transcends itself above the norm, I give it no relevance. And so I will not want to give Ms. Waldron a platform for her to be relevant. She is just where she belongs. And so I will not want to comment on her because she is just as Mr. McPherson and a person that supports a policy that does not provide development for all sectors and sections of the country. Those persons should not be called even humans because they just don't like themselves. They just don't like themselves. And it is what it is. And I would want to say to you too, my reaction there is not only as a result of my comrade Ferguson, but because of what he would have said to me because of his actions on the corridors on the outside too. But of course, I will not want to delve into that because I was served with a letter today where an investigation is launched. And so I was asked to respond. And I am going to make my response there and then. But like I said before, I will not give only Walden any relevance, none whatsoever.
So the PPP complained, filed a complaint with the Ethnic Relations Commission.
Correct.
You know, it always amazes me before, and you know, Natasha, everybody in Guyana knows that you are a proponent of social cohesion. That's all you talk about. You want to see unity in the country. And I guess it's because of your Islamic faith. And all of us who are Christians and persons of faith understand where you're coming from. But the PPP has this history. They think them alone can tell you stuff, be insulting, be derogatory, and you must not respond. And anytime you respond, they run to the police or run to some ethnic relations commission to file a complaint as if they have a monopoly.
Yes.
On words. Them alone can say whatever they want. Them alone have a right to free speech. Like you see Nigel Darmlal attacking two judges. And then you had all of his colleagues lining up, including the Minister of Education installed, who is an attorney and should know better, saying that he has a right to free speech. I said there must be a revolution on racism, and I sued Barry Jabil, and they ran to the police and tell the police put out a wanting bulletin for me. Right? Indians have a right to free speech.
Yes.
Your comment on what ONEIDGE Waldron said and the whole
Ricky, I want to join with my colleague Maureen in saying that ONEIDGE has been practicing hypocrisy a long time now. But let me give you a different example of her hypocrisy. In her video, she went on to talk about when she was appointed as minister, the APNU+AFC would have said so many things about her, and she inferred because she's Black, they have attacked her. But let me say to you that ONEIDGE sits about 5 or 6 feet apart from Darmlal. And every time I stand to speak in the National Assembly, he hurls insults, derogatory insults at me. And she sits right there and says nothing. Let me tell you, I will not infer, I will tell you what is happening there with those insults. The world knows that I am from East Indian descent. The world knows that I'm a PNC member of parliament. And so an East Indian woman has no place in the PNC. And she was inferring the same thing that APNU believes that because she's Black, she doesn't belong with the PNC. And she has that, I can't find a word to describe her lawlessness on that press conference the other day, the audacity, the hypocrisy she practices to go on national television and pretend to be the pretty poor girl. Well, this is politics. Pull up your big girl skirts and come let me play. This is politics. They do it to me. You ever seen me cry foul anyway? I stand up and put Darmlal to his place in the National Assembly. That is what you have to do. That is the battlefield. That is what you have to go there to do. Represent your people. Don't worry with sympathy. Representation is important. And so when Maureen says she's hypocritical, I see that in many facets of ONEIDGE's life. she just practices hypocrisy as if it's, a part of her way of life. Now, I want to say something else, Ricky. She spoke of her policy and what the bill intends to do for Guyanese. And we must not forget our history in Guyana as Guyanese. The East Indian came as indentured laborers. The Africans came as slaves. From the get-go of development of life in Guyana, it was unequal. The treatment meted out to them was unequal. And so we have become independent and we're trying for equity and equality and all these things. They have, the PPP, they have marginalized the Black people in this country. They have paid no attention to the local communities. So what this money is going to do is to go back and give these people that they have knocked off, so many of them don't have a livelihood, and give them something now, and they will take it. And so they will present that as equal opportunity, as taking care of the Black people in Guyana. And I have no apologies for saying that. If you can't read the cards, you wouldn't understand the PPP game. And you have to understand the game. So they take all of your legal earnings by knocking you off, by firing you, and then come back with all this money and give you a little pittance, steal the whole much of the $90 billion, feed the friends and family, and give you a little pittance, and you feel happy for it. And they take a picture with you and in the front with a big bag or whatever they give you, and tell the world that they're taking care of Black people in Ghana. That's reality. That's what they're doing. So ONEIDGE, don't come and tell us about policies that this bill is going to fix. You're going to take care of people in Ghana. That's nonsense. That's hypocrisy. And that's what I speak about. ONEIDGE got no moral authority to stand in the National Assembly and tell nobody nothing. Sorry, a little emotional, Ricky. A little emotional.
No. Go right ahead. That's why that's what this program is for. Because the hypocrisy in the PPP, and it's a sense of entitlement. We are entitled to pass this bill. We were elected by the people. We are entitled to take the money. And you mentioned the discrimination, and I want to talk to Annette, who's a former minister of the government, about this. What we have seen, and Natasha, you can also comment on it, and Maureen. What we have seen, Annette, is the PPP wholesale transferring the wealth of the country to themselves and their supporters. Because Professor Clive Thomas did a study, and his study showed that between 2001 and 2008, Guyana lost $941 million US dollars to corruption, PPP corruption. That's 1 billion US, 940 something, 1 billion US to PPP corruption. And out of that, 140 million US was as a result of procurement fraud, which is the contracts that they're giving out to people and the kickbacks they're getting. 140 million US, that's larger than some of the budgets of the small islands. And then he did another study that showed in from 2010, and I have the report here, from 2010 to 2012, Guyana lost 443 million US dollars to PPP corruption. In 2 years, $500 million US dollars in corruption. So we're supposed to more than throw the mace off the disc. When we see that these people are fighting to remove all the guardrails for accountability.
Yeah. You see, Rickford, what Clive Thomas did there, based on his findings, is absolutely correct. Records, history would remind us of the many flawed systems the PPP had during their tenure in office, pre-May 2015. And now that they're back in office, it is the same old cards being played back, because you have the same old players involved. Who are some of these players? You got Brassington is back. Ashley Singh is back. You got Dindial at GPL. He too is back. Just to name a few. And we know who is the kingmaster of them all. When we went into government in May of 2015, the procurement laws of this land was not being adhered to under the People's Progressive Party Civic. So you had people who were working whether in the public service or, these semi-autonomous agencies. They flouted the law so as to ensure that the kickbacks and the corruption do exist. And we're seeing it being played out again. Look at the contracts that have been awarded. 600 plus million to construct some new fire office by a company that never was involved in the construction industry. What else we have seen? 300 plus million given to a company, statement contracting company or something like that. And we know who are the key players or the principals of that particular company, with no experience in the construction industry. So it's all about wasting of monies, of taxpayers' money. And the People's Progressive Party Civic, they believe that all this money this country got, whether the oil money, the monies by way of taxation, royalties, that these monies belong to them. And the consolidated fund, along with the contingency fund, belongs to them. So soon somebody head scratch, you ain't following the procurement system, you ain't following the laws. You're going to dip your hand into the cookie jar, the contingency fund or the consolidated fund, to spend. And we have seen what they have done with the cash grant, the COVID cash grant. Hundreds of Guyanese are yet to benefit from this, from those funds. Many people, they still have their pink slips waiting after a year to be granted that 25,000 cash grant. What else we have seen? With the distribution of the flood relief, many communities, many small farmers were discriminated against. They gave out their disability, some $25,000 as grant to disability persons. And majority of the people who are benefiting are from their constituents, are from their constituencies, whether in Region 2, Region 6, Region 4, Region 5, their people are benefiting more. Just early this week, you had ANNETTE put out a statement where they've called out the People's Progressive Party Civic for using taxpayers' monies to give to their party hacks. That is exactly what they're doing, Rickford. So based on the findings done by Professor Clive Thomas, he's absolutely correct. He's absolutely correct. That is why we in the opposition, we will fight tooth and nail to ensure that the patrimony of this nation and taxpayers' monies are spent the way they ought to be spent. Yeah. So we will continue to fight.
You know, if I may come in there, Rickford.
Sure.
Just where my colleague would have left off. On the 13th of December, we were in Parliament where the PPP came to ask for finances. And I remember clearly, of course, it's disrespect in all form, disrespect in all form. And they tout one Guyana, they tout oneness. And we've been seeing every day, from all sectors and stratas, the disrespect. In Parliament, the Minister of Agriculture spoke of giving 250,000 Guyana dollars to sugar workers in Region 6. And so when the question was asked, what yardstick was used to know if those persons that were given the money, they really need that money? You will be surprised to know the response given to us. I'll give you the response in a few. And we further interrogate and ask questions. We were told 5,000 persons were laid off on the APNU+AFC. And out of that 5,000 that were laid off, 1,200 of those persons were rehired. We further asked, are we to understand that out of that 1,200 rehired, they would have received their severance, they would have received their 250,000, which is $250,000, and you're talking about money's here for them again. Are we to understand that those 1,200 re-employed are a part of that? And again, the disrespect continues. And so they're saying basically, this belongs to us, and we do whatever we want to do with it, whenever we want to do it, and wherever we want to do it. You don't come here and ask us nothing. And that is what the Guyanese need to understand. We are there not on our own accord. We are there to represent them. We are there to ensure that whatever is there for the government to offer, it is being distributed equitably to every citizen of this country, every citizen of this country. And yes, the criteria used to ensure that they keep pumping monies into those citizens to ensure that there's a vote for them is love, care, and compassion. And so I therefore ask the question, why are you only using love, care, and compassion for Gaisuko, and you're not seeing that other agencies and other sectors need you to demonstrate love, care, and compassion on them too? Gaisuko workers are not the only persons in Guyana that is working towards development of this country. But you know what? All they're concerned about is to keep those people in a certain standard so that they can keep brainwashing them and to ensure that they get their vote. That is all they're concerned about. Vote, 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 and more vote. Now, man, I want to go back to something. I remember there was an issue with a woman by the name of something Perry, where she was verbally abused. She was verbally abused by sitting ministers of government. Sitting ministers of government. And I cannot recall seeing that person held any press conference to talk about what was done to Ms. Perry by Small C, Ramsey, and Susan Rodriguez. Because what? As a Guyanese, she was given a plot of land.
A house lot, right?
Because she was given a house lot, she should sit
She was
back
also
and say,
attacked by Prayer Man Chan.
thank you,
Yes.
Jesus. You've arrived. And because I receive, I should close my eyes to the atrocities of the Guyanese people. And wrong is wrong. Sin must be called by its name. And so these are the things I would want to call those persons who want to behave as apostles. Who want to behave as apostles. All right? When they are ready to preach righteousness and want to say that they're holy and we are the worst thing, I dare you to defend your position when the time is right. And I say this to you, more coming, because we're going to sit idly by in the National Assembly and allow you to keep raping the Guyanese people. Enough, enough. The time has come. The time has come, and we're going to do just what we have to do. The persons voted for the coalition would have entrusted us to take care of their business, and that we must do. That we must do without fear or favor and or contradiction.
You know,
Thank-
if
Go ahead,
I
Mr.
may,
Tati.
yes, if I can come in, Rickford, I forgot to add this bit. When budget 2021 was approved on March 4th, 2021, the Housing Ministry got an appropriation of 6 billion Guyana dollars. You hear me? 6 billion Guyana dollars. In June of 2021, they came with 2 supplementary papers. Again, the Housing Ministry, 2.8 billion Guyana dollars. That will now give us 8.8 billion Guyana dollars so far. Just before we went into recess in August of 20, no, in August of, no, when we came out from recess, a couple days ago, 2 other financial papers were approved in December, a couple days just before the end of December. Again, for the Ministry of Housing, this time $7 billion. So you added 8.8 billion plus 7 billion. So far, the Housing Ministry for the year 2021 has been given an appropriation sum of over 15 billion Guyana dollars for the housing sector. Not only to construct roads or to prepare lands for housing purposes, but that particular ministry, we know what transpired pre-May 2015. That was a slush fund ministry for the People's Progressive Party Civic. So when you talk about all the billions that went missing, is ministries just like Ministry of Housing, where those monies were being siphoned off. But you know what, Rickford? This woman, this representative of the people of Guyana, I will continue to fight. I will continue to expose all the wrongs that the People's Progressive Party Civic is engaged in. Just the other day, I got reports, and I'm still doing my investigation, that lands that were given out under the coalition government in region number 6, to be specific, number 75 village. If a land was allocated to you, Rickford, you don't get up to now, you don't get your title, you don't get your agreement to sale. The other day, they snooped down unknowingly to the people in the area there and give the same land that we allocated to people, to their people. So this is something that I'm still investigating. So Rickford, your listeners and your viewers, the People's Progressive Party Civic is not good for the governance of this nation. And the time has come for all right-thinking Guyanese to stand up against their discriminatory practices, victimization, and most of all, the corruption that they're involved in. Because we know that corruption big. That is why, Rickford, they wanted to pass this bill. This bill here, Bill number 20 of 2021, the Natural Resource Fund Bill, without having the key elements contained in this bill. as they won the bill that the law which the coalition government would have enacted.
Natasha?
Ricky, thanks. I wanna say something to our viewers. I've noticed the comments on social media from since Wednesday night, and I want to say to our supporters, to all Guyanese in Guyana and the diaspora, that we have a mandate and we will do our best in the National Assembly. We have proven to you that enough is enough, and we will do what is necessary in the National Assembly. And we are brave. I want to say to our viewers that the PPP has started to target us individually. And most of their actions, the intention of their actions, is to put fear in our mind so that we will step away and become soft and let them roll over us. I say to our supporters, I say to all Guyanese, all of you that are interested, that we will stand up to them. We will not let fear stop us from representing our people. My comrade here, Annette Ferguson, has several charges and is before the court right now. You know, and a lot of people don't know this. She goes to court every single time. She has won a judgment against Jagdeo, who refused to pay the judgment. And we continue to go. Christopher Jones is also before the court. They're coming after MAUREEN at this point in time. And we have several other MPs that they have targeted. And we have collectively decided that we will stand strong, we will be brave, and we will do our job. And to our supporters in the communities, we know that that's the PPP's tactics, that's their strategy. They are doing that in the communities too. We ask you to stand up and be brave. Represent yourself and your community. Do not let the PPP instill fear in you, because we will represent you. Thanks, Ricky.
And you mentioned that they're coming after Philadelphia, Miss Philadelphia. Somehow the PPP believes that they own this country. But boy, let me tell you something. I want members of the diaspora to know this and be assured we got something for them too. We in the diaspora, we've hired a law firm, and we are examining the laws of the United States and how it could be applied. And one of the things that we'll do is that we will give them a heart attack the next time they come to this country. Because I see them put out wanted bulletin for me. I don't live in Guyana. I comply with the laws of this country. And they put out a wanted bulletin for me because, and I've heard the Prime Minister of St. Vincent, who we had to take away award from because he backed them and their racist policies. He gossiped me outside my wanted man, right? That's the effect. That's what they wanted to do. But the people in the United States understand what goes on in Guyana. And one of the things I want to urge the people of Guyana to do, write to the FBI, call their names, give their phone numbers. The people in the diaspora, at every turn, every time they do something, write to the FBI, put their names in the focus of U.S. law enforcement. Let's do to them whatever they do to people in Guyana. And again, I am so happy that this fund is in the United States, because if you guys notice, the United States government go all over the world and drag all the politicians into the United States when they have money here, and they tamper with it. And they abuse the laws to get their hands on the people's money. I'm not afraid of the PPP. 2021, God spare life, we're going to give them hell. And we will support everything you guys do in Guyana. And let them touch MAUREEN Philadelphia. Let them touch you guys. I mean, these guys believe, I am still wondering what is happening with the ABC ambassadors. And, again, I'm in touch with some members of the PPP. Nothing wrong with that. I have friends in the PPP. And we debate, up to today, I was debating one of them. And we were talking about the fact that there's no reasonable voice in the PPP that could pull them back from this nonsense. They think they own the Guyana Police Force.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do, when these police officers come here, we already submitted the names of the intelligence officers because we have confirmation that people in Suku, officers in Suku, are questioning Guyanese who make phone calls to the United States of America. That's espionage. It therefore means that they are breaking the laws of the United States. So we have given the Justice Department their names. And we're monitoring what they, we also got intelligence, we could hear what they're doing. So when they think they're listening to the Guyanese people, we listen to them because we get the recordings too. So I want to put them on notice that we know what they're doing. And what they have done is we have confirmation that they've named a number of people in the diaspora, what they call persons of interest, including myself. And so they have intelligence assets, listening into conversations from members, opposition members of parliament, persons of interest, or whatever. Somehow the PPP has this thing that they're so Russian, right? That they could go after people who criticize them. Oh boy, they are in for a treat in 2022. We want them to come here. We wait until next year. We want them to come here. Nanlal already get the hint. He ain't coming here the other day. He went through Panama. A manager told me they were trying to route him through New York. He like, no, me, I go to New York. Right? He ain't want to go. We know what they're doing. I don't want them to know that we know. That's why I'm repeating these things. So we're happy. If you see the comments here, people are so encouraged that finally they believe. Finally, I mean, you guys were fighting all the time, but they weren't seeing some of the things that you're doing. But it's cameras and the smartphones that we have are so important now because they saw you guys in Parliament. They saw you guys in real time standing up and fighting the PPP's attempt to raid the people's money. And as I said again, everybody in the United States, right to the federal government, right to the New York Federal Reserve, mock up the works for them. Right to the Federal Reserve Bank and tell them the history of thieving the people's money of this PPP. We already know what we're doing. I saw that the president has signed the bill, and my understanding is that they've already started to make arrangements to draw out every cent of the money in the New York Reserve Bank. And what they'll do is take that money out and transfer it to their supporters and themselves.
Well, you see,
the country's money belongs to them. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, you see, Rickford, the haste to pass the bill is as a result of them, owing based upon their borrowing, right? And now they got to, whether it's for election purposes or for other purposes, they got to pay back these monies. And I want to remind your viewers and listeners, because I know many of them live in the diaspora and may not be familiar with what is really happening home here in Guyana. Budget 2021, 3.831 billion was approved on March 4th, 2021. When they came in June with the 2 supplementary papers, it was, I think the accumulated sums were over 20 billion Guyana dollars. So that takes you now over 400 plus billion Guyana dollars. Again, just December days ago, they came with 2 other supplementary papers, financial papers, 3 and 4. Again, the accumulated sums for those 2 papers were over 20 billion Guyana dollars. Now, if we're to pull these 3 figures together, you get a sum of over 450 billion Guyana dollars alone for budget 2021. So we moved from 383.1 billion in March, and by December 2021, we got 450 billion plus budget for 2021. And the budget deficit is over 200 plus billion Guyana dollars. These are the
But you
things
want to do it?
they wouldn't come and tell people. So that by virtue of them assenting to this bill, whether yesterday or today, rest assured, they probably already made arrangements for their sticky fingers to start accessing those monies because they got huge debts to pay, whether to their elections financiers or whether to other loan agencies, whether the local banks here in Guyana, they got to pay those monies. And you know, Ricky, like any loan agreement, you got stipulated time and period when you got to pay these monies. So probably time is running, the clock is ticking, so we got to access the monies.
But what bothers me is the transfer of the money to themselves and their people. I mean, yes, if you're using the money for the management of the country, to develop the country, to improve the lives of the people, that's fine. We can have a debate on policy. But these people are thieving the money in front of our faces. For instance, they're giving out all of these billions of dollars. And listen, we shouldn't hide it. 99.9% of the contracts that they work are to East Indian people who support the PPP. That's a fact. We can't hide it. That's a fact. It is because we highlighted that. That's why they give statement that contract to build the schools, the 2 schools in London. But that's just a drop in the bucket.
No,
and today, a PPP person was telling me that if I go out the society and everybody's celebrating, they think the government is doing so well. Black people love the PPP in Guyana. So Black people, raise your voices, because they say you all don't raise your voices. You all love their policies. Black people love the fact that they fired 3,000 Black people. Black people love the fact that only East Indians are getting contract in the country. I mean, it's amazing. These people are so delusional. And I think that's, one second, and of everything else, I think the issue that is angering people the most is the wealth transfer. They are transferring the wealth of the country to themselves and to their East Indian supporters. And 1 or 2 Black people they're throwing the crumbs at. But that's the fact. They're not empowering Amerindians, they're not empowering Black people. They're only empowering their own ethnic supporters. And when you talk about it, they call you racist. But I don't really care. I live in America, where we fight for Black empowerment here, right? We had a whole revolution last year about racial justice. So that's how we stay. And that's how I'm going to roll, whether they put out bulletins to me or not. But the people of Guyana have to understand the wealth transfer. They're transferring the wealth of the country to themselves and their ethnic supporters. And that must be stopped. Maureen, you want to jump in here?
Yes.
Any of your constituents have gotten a contract, a big contract from this government? They say you love them.
I am sitting here and I'm remembering what they would have done to region number 4, where you find proposals were made for budget 2022 without input of the elected officials of region number 4. All right. And so when they talk about oneness and they're distributing finances equitably, they're selecting areas. They're selecting only those areas that they feel support and represent them to ensure that those areas are given and see development. 2021 budget, all the infrastructural development for region number 4, when we had our budget passed on March 4th, everything was centered in the local authority areas where Dharmalal feel those are the red local authority areas, and the green local authority areas, they were starved of resources. And I remember I spoke then about the issue we have with water, potable water, where Ministry of Housing and Water were sending and developing this sector in the hinterland and other communities. And I reminded them of what was happening along the East Coast corridor between Bladenall, Traspey, all the way to Bedford Wapting, LBI. And you know what? they were proud to know that after they brought the supplemental, that they will put system in place to ensure that they prepare a well. But do you know where they want to put that well? Again, in a red local authority area. And so they care less about what persons say, even though their actions are clear as day. They care less about what persons say. They know that their aim and objective and policies are there to empower their own. It's there to empower their own. Yes, you may have a few Afro contractors that would have received contract, but I can tell you it's not worth talking about in comparison with what they would have given to their own. It isn't worth talking about. It isn't worth mentioning.
Okay. So as we wrap up,
Yeah.
let me come back to all of you. I mean, what's all you're
No,
saying?
no, I am Rickford, if I may, just taking this point, because to add to the question you posed to Maureen with regards to, Afro-Guyanese benefiting from contract. Look, just before we left office, a contract was signed with Courtney Ben Contracting Services Limited, one of the well-established contracting providers here in this country. Soon as they came in, without any justification, the contract was terminated. And it's now given to a Chinese company. Now you're talking, just the other day you passed a bill, the local content bill, bill number 2021 of 2021. Right? But still yet, you have Guyanese, more so Afro-Guyanese, who are not benefiting, whether they're small contractors, medium contractors, large-scale contractors, they are not benefiting. So when ONEIDGE gonna make the point that these two bills are a game changer, I don't know what she's talking about. Who
I
is
don't
she
think she
really
knows what she's
speaking?
talking about.
Who is she really speaking to? It is not the ordinary small contractor, whether in Buxton, in Victoria, in Albistown, in Charlestown, in West Pennington, and them areas. These bills will not be a game changer for them, because the procurement laws alone is a bottleneck for them. The procurement laws alone is a bottleneck for them. Because to weed a simple road shoulder, you gotta get this, you gotta get the terror, then you have to do jobs probably in excess of $1 million Ghana and all kind of thing. So if you don't have the criterion that is
You mean that's
set
the black
out,
people?
Yeah.
The criteria is almost black people, because I just saw
that's it.
them giving contracts to over 100 East Indian supporters of theirs. And I'm pretty
Exactly.
sure that 99% of those people never did anything but anything with relation to the contract.
No, and the last point I want to make here, I know of a contractor who reported to me, because he has an Afro-Guyanese, his business is more like to the waterfront. So he's now being starved for government contracts. So now oil is here. Another company, not a local company, was about to enter into a joint venture with this Afro contractor company. And you know what? The king, Mr. Third Term, as president, when he recognized who this company was getting involved in, he said no. He scrapped that. So the Afro contractor cannot benefit, whether from a government contract or a joint venture contract. This is what is happening in this country.
But and it must not be accepted. This is something that we had a meeting with the State Department. We didn't announce it. We're continually talking, and that's one of the things we spoke about, where the PPP believes that if you are not their supporter, right? You can't benefit from anything from the government. Like you heard Anil Nanlao said that on tape, that the people who were fired were seen on social media supporting the coalition. Now, apparently, the people who are fired supporting the coalition are from Pakistan or Nicaragua or something. I don't understand that you can't be guiding and talking. And we got to stop this. And that's why when I say if Black people can't benefit from the resources of the country, nobody must benefit from it at all. And I'm thinking the way that Annette was thinking when she said, if y'all think y'all gonna ram this thing through the parliament, and therefore we're gonna distort the parliament. That's what the people kind of have to do. Because these people think the country belongs. I mean, who the hell is him? Like for instance, and I'm gonna say it now, a former CEO, a man who is accomplished in financial management around the Caribbean, who the coalition brought back to manage NISIL. That same man, Barjabil, has caused all around the Caribbean companies to receive messages saying he mustn't be employed.
Yeah, that's
this man didn't kill nobody. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't commit a crime. As a matter of fact, I have breaking news. I forgot to mention this earlier. They charged him, just like they charged Winston Jordan. And I'm talking about Cognitive London.
Yeah.
They charged Mr. London with a crime for executing the policy of cabinet and the policy of the board, which is to sell certain government lands, just like they're doing now. And you know what they did? They wrote the people who NISIL sold these lands to tell. This NISIL was not lawful because after the no confidence motion, the APNU government couldn't do anything. So give back the land. Right? Last night, the Chief Justice issued a judgment telling them if they don't give back them, revoke all those the letter. And this is with regard to the Peters Hall land. That they face the penalty of jail. That they she nullify all the letters that they sent to the people. And tell them if they don't comply with her order, they face the penalty of jail. And she upheld the lease issued by NISIL under the coalition government. Like who the hell, them little jagabats, trench crap, what thing they are, that they're going around the country nullifying people's lease agreements and agreements of sale. Same thing they want to do with BK Wharf issue. These people think the country belongs to them. It has to take the court to quash their nonsense where they arbitrarily came up with this notion that anything the coalition did was unlawful. When the CCJ rejected that argument that Chris Ram and others in that case took to the CCJ to declare the actions of the government unlawful. And even if the CCJ had found that the government was unlawful, which they couldn't because the Constitution says the government stays in place after the confirmation until a new president is sworn in. And even if the CCJ has found that the government was unlawful, there's a doctrine in law that allows to the government to continue even if a government is found to be unlawful, like Clara Singh did when she found that in 1997 that the PP government was unlawful, unconstitutional, and she nullified the elections. But there's a doctrine called continuity in government. And so what the courts do is allow the government to stay in place until an election is held, because you have to have continuity in government. You can't have a country without a government. But the PPs are arguing post facto that the government was illegal. They now come from it now and say the government was illegal back then, when no court sanctioned that. And so what they're doing is it's very bad for investment. It's very bad. And, I think what they're doing is damaging the investment climate of Guyana. Because you had so many Guyanese from the diaspora who went home and bought those lands from Nisil and are establishing businesses. They bought some of the estate lands. And the PPP government is trying to take away back all those lands. House lots that were given to people, they're trying to take it away. I mean, they're setting a dangerous precedent because the next government that comes in is going to take away everything that they give to their people. So I think in 2022, I can see we headed for some serious crisis at times. And there's nobody in the PPP with the common sense and the voice of reason who could pull them back from this brink of total disaster and division in the country, where they think that Guyana only belongs to their supporters. Look at their supporters' comments. They're so emboldened. And it's all money got up Sabazarino. It's money. I don't care what nobody else said. Them racist people in the PPP, they will kill you for money and land. It is true.
Yeah.
It's true. They will kill you for money and land. And that's what Barjabel, that cockabelly people from America who like to call people low life. I see, say, I'm a low life, a man so Walter the zero. Forget about me to call people, but even look at a distinguished attorney and call her a low life. When you grow up eating cockabelly from the mud in the trench outside your leper hospital at Mahika, my Barjab, they got to be really serious. Really joking. Sorry, we got to be really joking. Anyway, it's all yours. Let me stop you.
Indeed. Church time.
It's all yours. So anyway, guys, as we wrap up, let me go around the panel and ask everybody for their closing comments. Let me start with Maureen, Philadelphia. Maureen, I used to live in Victoria as a kid.
Yes. Thank you, Rickford. My opening comments is where I would have asked the viewership to use those experiences gained from 2021 to charter a positive course in 2022. And I want to close with those same comments. You may not have achieved that which you may have set out to achieve. You may have laid out certain plans, and of course, things may not have gone the way you expected to go. But I want to say to you that God is still with us. And because of his mercies and his grace, we're here to see yet the end of 365. And you're about to see the beginning of 365. May you continue to hug and kiss your loved ones. Show your loved ones care and compassion. And may us all endeavor to do good and live right so as to ensure that together we remain happy and, of course, receive that full blessings. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Natasha.
Ricky, 2021 is going to be over. Just now, it's actually over in some other parts of the world. 2021 has been a year that tests our faith, our strength, and tests the moral fiber of every one of us in Parliament. I say to all of our viewers that we should learn from 2021. It was a testing period. We should take a little time to reflect, and we should muster our energy, and we should try to focus on what is important for us in Guyana. Our enemy is the PPP. Our enemy will always remain the PPP. We are not our comrades' enemy, and we should focus on that. At the Below the Belt program this midday with Sherrod, he said that we will use all of our tools in Parliament in 2022. And he was being constructive, instructive. And when he said we will use all of our tools, what you would have seen is just one tool we used, and Annette was our hero on Wednesday. We have many other instruments to use, many other tools to use. And so while we ask for your continued support at the level of our party and at the level of our country, we ask you to stay safe, to remain focused, to stay with us, to give us that energy, because as parliamentarians, we feel your energy. We take that with us when we go to do what we have to do. And if we continue to fight among ourselves, even in the diaspora, we may not be able to achieve what we set out to achieve in 2022. Our enemy is the PPP, and we shall go with all of God's guidance. And on that note, I want to say to all of Guyana that I've heard some of the comments that I'm a woman of faith and I stood in the National Assembly and I condoned what happened. Well, I want to correct those statements. I didn't condone what happened. I participated in what happened because I strongly believe in enjoining what is good and forbidding what is wrong. And I will continue to live that life because Islam is a way of life. What I am seeing before me is wrong. Discrimination and marginalization of our people is wrong, and I will never stand for it. And so as we go into 2022, I ask you, stay focused, stay with us, and we promise that 2022 is going to be better than 2021. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Annette Ferguson?
Yes. Thank you very much, Rickford, for having me on. What can I say? 2021 has not been a good year for Guyana and by extension Guyanese. But in everything, we must give God thanks and praise. So far, Rickford, the COVID death, the mismanagement of COVID by this illegitimate bunch has caused the lives of over 1,050 Guyanese. Our total number of cases is over 39,151. So despite the year hasn't been good for many Guyanese, I know more so, the public servants, the bauxite workers, the teachers, the nurses, they were all looking forward for a better Christmas, a better salary increase, but they didn't get it. But what I want to say to them is that the coalition was the best solution for this nation. You benefited tremendously. Yes, we may not have gotten everything right, but we had started to set the foundation to ensure that you, Guyanese home here, or those of you living abroad, that you will enjoy the good life. But I want to say further that at the level of the parliamentary in this nation, things have not been good for the opposition MPs because we have an unfair speaker. We are not allowed to speak because he feels that we are his children. But looking ahead, I want to say to all Guyanese that 2022 will be the decision year. It cannot be business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
What you have seen on December 29th That is just a pinch of what is to come.
1, 2.
Because we in the coalition, we will not buckle to the pressure of the People's Progressive Party Civic. They will buckle to our pressure because we gonna up the ante come 2022. So I want to finally close by saying, Rickford, may 2022 bring us all that we hope for. We may not have gotten it right for 2021, but we must make that conscious effort to ensure that we get what we want in 2022. And I want to finally end by saying, and to leave with you, my colleagues here, and those on this platform, 2 Timothy 1:7, and this is what it says. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sobriety. So I want to say to all Guyanese, do not be fearful of the People's Progressive Party Civic. It is time we stand together in unity, in oneness. They can't tell us about oneness. We will show them what oneness is made of. But we have to stand firm to fight the haughty enemy. And who is the haughty enemy, Rickford? It is the People's Progressive Party Civic. So what they got away with in 2020 and in 2021, well, 2022 will be a new year, a new season, and good things will be happening for the opposition in 2022. May God richly bless you. May God richly bless your viewers. And may God continue to bless our beloved nation, Guyana. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What's an ending? And I see the viewers love it. So thanks all of you. 3 really strong women. You know, when we look at the history of our country, it's always been women that have toiled and fought and brought home the victory. So we stand behind you guys. Sorry, you female. When I say guys, I mean it doesn't mean one gender. Yeah. So thank you very much, Maureen. Thank you. I know that you guys have so many. You all are have your homes, but you decided to spend some time with us here on Old Year's Night. What a way to close up the night, being inspired by 3 powerful women. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And to the viewers, thank you guys in 2020. You guys have stood, as I said last night, stood with us, all of us, from across the APNU support base. You stood with us, you wanted to be inspired, you wanted to know what's happening, and we were obligated to bring you information. And thanks. We hope that in 2022 we can do the same and improve the work that we're doing. Stay strong, everybody. I hope that 2022 brings you prosperity, great prosperity, good health, good strength. Be strong, be courageous. For those of you in Guyana, I know a lot of you feel hopeless. You are discouraged, but I think the inspiration you're getting now from these female members of parliament who were leading the charge is giving you encouragement. And everybody in Guyana now should be mobilized across the political spectrum so we can have some fireworks and some action and victory in 2022. Have a good night, everybody. Now I'm going to go prepare for my church service, and I'll be there at church to welcome in the new year. Have a good night, everybody. Stay safe. Maureen, Philadelphia, Member of Parliament. Natasha Singh, Member of Parliament. Annette Ferguson, Member of Parliament. Thank you all very much. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.